In Politics and Money today, Richard Thies is here, and he is a portfolio manager with Driehaus Capital Management. Here taking a look at the market and the election. Welcome, and great to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
So let's just get down to it. What do you think the market reaction will be to a Donald Trump win?
I think the reaction would be negative, and this is a sort of a cliche in investing at this point, but investors don't like uncertainty, and the market has effectively been pricing in a Hillary Clinton victory. You can see that in the recovery of things like emerging market currencies, and also in the sector performances, things like biotech and pharmaceuticals, which are viewed to be adversely impacted by a Clinton presidency, have been underperforming pretty significantly. So any change to that with Donald Trump winning would be a pretty big recalculation for investors. Also, investors are afraid of a lot of the unknowns that might come with the Donald Trump's presidency, in spite of the fact that things like lower corporate taxes
Which
would be a
people at
positive.
Wall Street would love lower taxes
Exactly.
coming from a Donald Trump presidency.
Exactly, and it's been pretty interesting because you're seeing the sort of dichotomy of investors ignoring the positives of things like that and higher infrastructure spending, while on the other side being very afraid of things that would be happening on trade, immigration, and just in general upsetting the global order.
Let's talk about trade, because this has been a big issue. Now, what's your feeling on this as far as from an investment standpoint? Because Donald Trump is talking about reining in trade, and I know the market's actually like a freer trade situation, correct?
Yeah, exactly. It's been pretty interesting to see that this has even become an issue. It's been sort of settled in textbooks that free trade is better for the economy, and I think the United States has seen incredible growth and wealth as a result of freer trade. The issue is that the benefits of that trade have not been equally distributed. There's been a lot of research even out recently showing that the inequality that results from that is hurting the U.S. economy. That said, negative trade and having more barriers to trade is an unequivocal negative for growth and for so many of the large cap companies that have a lot of revenue coming from outside the U.S. So there's no question that that's bad for the economy as a whole, and that's bad for corporate earnings.
Now, you say as well, if you're looking at a presidency by either Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton, you have to talk about immigration and employment in one sentence. Why is that?
The idea for me is that, similar to being somewhat surprised that trade has become such a hot button issue, the biggest headwind to U.S. growth, aside from productivity right now, is poor labor supply. Despite the rhetoric that's been in Donald Trump's campaign, the U.S. labor market is very healthy. In fact, you're seeing a lot of signs that we've achieved full employment, things like wage growth really accelerating at lower end for lower skilled workers. So going forward, the thing that has separated us from economies like the European Union and Japan is the fact that we have free immigration and that labor supply has not been such an issue. Going forward, if you restrict that, you just restrict the growth of the entire economy, and everyone suffers, including lower wage workers.
When it comes to setting economic policy, what do you see happening here as far as a Hillary Clinton presidency?
I think, I guess as Donald Trump would say, it's more of the same. I think she's pursuing a very steady approach to the ones that Barack Obama had. I would argue that she's making more of an effort to help the economy share the benefits of some of the positives that free trade and freer immigration bring, things like having a more progressive tax code, as well as some corporate benefits like increasing apprenticeship benefits to companies and tax benefits to corporations that are doing things like employee stock ownership programs.
Will she have to do some grand bargaining with Congress if she's in office?
I do think that's a big issue, and it seems to me the only thing there's really a window for is the corporate repatriation of profits. Other than that, it's going to be really challenging for her to get her fiscal policy goals and tax plan passed. So there does need to be some sort of compromise, the likes of which we haven't seen in quite some time.
I've been seeing several reports showing that if Donald Trump is elected, the national debt will balloon. Why are people saying that?
People are saying that, one, because it's true, and because his tax plan alone is very regressive. So everyone would see lower tax benefits or lower tax bills, but especially at the higher end. So the average person in the top 1% would see a 15% reduction in their tax bill. of course, that means that the United States government sees a sharp reduction in revenues. He's assuming that there would be a growth dividend to that cut. However, replacing $6 to $7 trillion in revenue over the next 10 years is a pretty big ask for growth.
Well, thank you for your insights today.
Thank you for having me.